Everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. It's good to be back. Goalbridge is live. I hope you're all doing really, really well. We've got lots to talk about this morning. Will it be Rasmus Hojlund deal day? Here we go. Well, maybe. There's a lot to get into. There is a lot to get into. Even the Atalanta coach has been speaking, so we'll get into all of that. Also, I'll be reacting to a couple of things from yesterday that I missed because I wasn't live with you yesterday. Massive shout out to Beth yesterday. What a great job she did. What a valuable member of the United Stand team on a busy day. Bruno captain, Onana signs officially. Also, reports that Harry Maguire is still wanted by Erik ten Hag. We'll talk about that, where it's coming from, how true it's likely to be. Victor Osimhen could be a feature for Man United in the future. Probably not this summer, but there is a chance. We'll talk about what that's all about. Amrabat as well. Tellez deal falling through, a little bit about the sale, and a few other bits that maybe you want to talk about as well. So lots to get into on the show. Lovely hoodie mark, says Just Kevin. You can get yours through the link in the video description. We do sell them and we do ship them worldwide. But as you can see left to me, the best thing you want to get is Manscaped. And as you know, Manscaped are sponsoring us on the tour.
The United Stand pre-season tour sponsored by Manscaped. Discover the power of 3 with Manscaped's unique trimmers. Get the right tools for the job at manscaped.com. Manscaped, your body will thank you.
Yes, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code United Stand. All I'm going to say is what I said to you yesterday. The beard trimmer is a fantastic addition. It's the trilogy. They've got the weed whacker for your nose, they've got the lawnmower for your balls, and now they've got the hedge trimmer for your face. Look, my latest shave, modelled by Goalbridge's face, there's loads of different, it's really powerful, but it's loads of different lengths. I did this on a 1, right? My old trimmer, which wasn't Manscaped, used to take me about 3 minutes. This takes under a minute. It's brilliant. It's so fast. It's so efficient. Check yours out. Manscaped. Links in the description. Or scan your phone with it next to me. 20% off, free worldwide shipping. Lovely products by Manscaped with a win. Right, let's get into the show. Thank you very much to Manscaped. Can you comment on the shameful Bruno slander, Mark? Says Need. I don't know what the shameful Bruno slander is. The reason I wasn't on the channel yesterday is because I've had a few things going on that I'm sort of struggling with at the moment. So I couldn't be on. I couldn't be on camera yesterday. I know I did a pre-record, but I couldn't get on. You know, that's why I say big shout out to everyone who covered me, especially Beth yesterday. Did a great job. But obviously, I was keeping an eye on. You know, I was aware of things breaking, like Bruno being the captain and Onana's deal being confirmed, but I'm not aware of social media reactions to anything. I mean, in fact, I wasn't really on social media yesterday. I put a little emoji out about Hojlund because I'd had a message about it late last night, so I thought I'd put that out. But no, apart from that, I'm not really aware, so you'll have to tell me about what's going on with Bruno. I do want to talk about it in a moment or two, but I want to start off with Rasmus Hojlund. So what's going on with Rasmus Hojlund? Well, obviously, you'll have seen some good updates from Italy last night. I obviously put my fire better than sun, hotter than the sun, emoji out last night because it is getting close. And I suppose the big thing really is, are we expecting a here we go today? Well, this is what the Atalanta manager had to say about the situation. He said that I don't know whether he'll stay or leave, but I hope the club will value Hojlund at around 80, 90 or 100 million euros. Rasmus is one of the best, if not the best, emerging talents in Europe as a striker. This will send some into a panic. It just sends me into complete calm. If you want to be the director of football of Atalanta, stop being the manager of Atalanta. I don't care. Would you care if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and we were selling a player when I want £300 million, don't we, Karaki? He's worth £300 million. We wouldn't care. I don't care what the manager says. You're not in charge. TalkSport battered Bruno last night. Says, I need to know. I need to know who. I need to know why. And I will have my say because I don't know anything about it. But I am going to talk about it in a bit, so tell me what was said. But look, in relation to Hojlund, take no notice of the manager. It's irrelevant. The Italian reports that are coming in and what I've heard is that this deal is... Man United are going to put a bid in of around 60 million euros with add-ons, and Atalanta will do a deal around there. In fact, what I heard is that the deal is actually locked between 50 and 60 million euros, and the negotiations are going on. So United could end up getting it for less, which would put it in at what I've been saying for a while, somewhere between 40 and 50 million pounds with add-ons. So we're going to be around that sort of area, maybe a little bit over. But all this talk of, and look, it's not just the Atalanta manager. We've had UK journalists talking about 80 million, 90 million. It's a nonsense. It's never been that. Atalanta have never been after that. Man United have been never looking to pay that. They're looking at their replacements already. The big question with Rasmus Hojlund is, will he be a Man United player anytime soon? And will we get a here we go or a deal done anytime soon? The honest answer is, I don't think that that's the case. I don't think it's going to happen that quick. I would love to be wrong. There is no reason why you can't get a here we go today. There's no reason why you can't get it over the weekend. There's no reason why you can't get it early next week. But I'll go back to, the source. I'll go back to my feeling. And I think that Man United, big game tomorrow. Can't wait for it. USA, New York, Man United, Arsenal, 10 o'clock at night UK time. We're going to be live for that watch along. Can't wait for that. Will Onana be involved? We'll talk about that in a minute. Then they've got to play a couple of games midweek next week. If they get Rasmus Hojlund in on a medical next week, what do you do with him? What do you do with him? Who does he train with next week? Do you fly him out to America for a handful of days? Do you wait till you come back? I think it's in United's interest that this deal goes to the end of July. Even the Atalanta coach has apparently said he wants it done by the end of July. Well, the end of July is 10 days. And in 10 days, United are back from the tour. So I just think that this deal is going to run. And look, Mount took a while. Onana took a while. And I just think it's going to run for about 10, 14 days. And then the deal will happen. So I think a bit of patience. I'll love it. I'll bloody love it. Get my headphones on. I'll love it if we get this deal done quicker than that. And I'm not saying it's impossible, because I don't know when, I'm not there with Atalanta and Man United saying when the deal's going to happen. But just from the people I speak to, the word is patience, confidence and patience. They're relaxed. And that to me means that there's no real outside influence. It's all about who suits what when. And I think it will happen probably in about 10 days' time. But guess we'll have to see. But look, ultimately, really excited about getting this player at Manchester United. We're desperate for a striker now, aren't we? And I think it will be massively important to get a player like this in. It's probably the best we can do. I don't know whether actually, I'll just bring this in. Reports in Italy about Victor Osimhen. He's got 2 years left on his contract. He's going to sign a new contract, but he wants to put a release clause in there of £100 million. So obviously Napoli priced him out of a move this summer. United would have been interested. Chelsea were interested. Even Bayern Munich were looking at him. Priced out of a move, 150 million euros, whacked on him by Napoli. No sale has been able to be done. He is now looking to sign a new contract at Napoli with 2 years left on his deal, but he wants that release clause in. Very, very clever, because we've seen this a lot. It's happened to Harry Kane. You can't be sold in your contract at the moment because clubs are actually saying, no, we'll just keep you. So I think release clauses are probably a good idea for Victor Osimhen. Does that mean United could go there in a year's time? Well, people are talking about going for Harry Kane in a year. I don't think that'll happen because I think he's going to go to Bayern. But obviously, if we're only going to bring Hojlund in this summer, I don't mind Victor Osimhen having a £100 million release clause in his contract. January. I throw this in because this is what we do on the United Stand. We pick on stories and themes months before everybody else. And I think this is one just to keep it in your back pocket. I'm all right with this. I would have loved Victor Osimhen this summer. I'd have liked Harry Kane this summer. But ultimately, that's not going to happen. We're going to get Rasmus, and I think that will be it. But we will need more strikers in the future. Even if Hojlund does great, which I think he will do, we still need another striker. So I think keep your eye on Victor Osimhen, because if he gets that release clause of £100 million and United finally get sold, next summer you might just go, bang, go and get him. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that, because we are going to need another striker at some point. Mad Bro says, if United were willing to pay 90 to 100 million, I'm sure they would wait around for Kane. Well, I don't think waiting around for Kane is logical, mate, because I think Harry Kane's probably going to go and get a move to Bayern by the looks of it. Just a little bit on the sale. I know some people are interested in the sale. So there was a CEO was on Twitter yesterday who is something to do with Eminence Capital, who have a percentage, like United's owned 69% by the Glazers and 31% is owned by the shareholders, of which there's lots of different groups within there. So apparently Eminence Capital own 5% of the 31%. And basically what the CEO has said on Twitter is that It's a ridiculous sale. You know, it's unprecedented in many ways. And it looks like it'll either be a full sale or the Glazers stay. Therefore, it'll be Sheikh Jassim or the Glazers stay. But if the Glazers stay, then I can't see how they can do that because of the issues that are already there. So I believe it will be Sheikh Jassim. Some people, I'm just throwing it in there. It's news. I don't know how good that news is. To me, it just sounds like a belief. You know, I don't think they're in the... I mean, at the end of the day, just because you're the CEO of a company that owns shares in Manchester United doesn't mean you're sat in the boardroom with the Glazers and the Rain Group. So I just think it's like what Rio said, isn't it? It's like what some of you've said. I think it's logical that you could still predict that Qatar will buy the football club, but I don't think anybody's got any insider information on it. Imagine if Ronaldo was still here. Hojlund, Garnacho, Mount, Rashford, Bruno and Anthony all idolised him. At least he kick-started the sale before leaving, says Parser. And Acid said, I said he was an average player, doesn't deserve... Oh, here we go. This is what was said about Bruno then. They said he was an... And I presume this was on TalkSport. Do we know who said it? Or who? Oh, it might be it wasn't TalkSport, but we'll react to this. So... Acid23 says they said he was an average player, doesn't deserve the captaincy, and United won't win anything with him. Disrespected him with his attitude, work rate, Hugh somebody, and Rory Jennings. Okay, well, we'll move on from that then. Yeah, I don't take any notice of that because I mean I see that on my feed all the time, and I think it's just for clicks. I don't really generally. I mean, look, I actually did a piece on TalkSport's website because I do stuff with TalkSport, and I was asked about his... there seems to be a media issue with Bruno. Well, I'll hit this now. There's loads to talk about. I want to talk about the Maguire thing. I want to talk about the Tellez deal dropping out. I want to talk about a few other bits. But, all right, Bruno Fernandez is the new captain. I didn't get to react to this yesterday, and... I've seen a lot of this in the media about his attitude. This is just lazy journalism. I would file this, Bruno's bad attitude, I would file with Martinez is too small and Onana's just a circus act who, you know, passes the ball but he's not a good shot stopper. It's lazy. It's just pure lazy journalism. That's my opinion on it. Any news on Amrabat? I'm going to talk about him, Sokol. And to be fair, the price we will pay for Hojlund is good for a talent, says Elliot. This is lazy journalism from Bruno Fernandez. It was lazy of Gary Neville to say on a massive TV station against Liverpool that he wanted to come off. He didn't want to come off, and Gary's never apologised for that. I like Gary, legend of the club. Some of what he said is very, very good. But, you know, he did say on national TV that Bruno Fernandez wanted to come off and he didn't. And that should have been apologised for publicly, and it never was. And I think a lot of people take that because they're thick and think it's true and think he's got a bad attitude. I still think there's people out there that because of what Gary said think Bruno Fernandez has got a bad attitude, because not everyone's watching the United stand or listening to United fans who are saying that's not true. You know, your average fan of Norwich or whatever like that probably listens to Gary and thinks it's true. TalkSport talk about it as well. Sky talk about it. BT talk about it. Newspaper outlets talk about it. I was asked about it the other day when I was doing an article. They were asking me about Bruno Fernandez and who should be the captain. And I said, I think Bruno should be the captain. And I was asked about what about his bad attitude. And I went, it's not a bad attitude, it's petulance. I used to play football, I've got petulance. I'm playing football next Friday actually in a TalkSport game live on YouTube. I'll be petulant. You know, I'll try my best. But that's... Roy Keane was petulant. Sir Alex Ferguson was petulant. I mean, we're living in a world where people are just so naive and blinkered. Like, Roy Keane was petulant. I remember him at St James's Park getting in an argument with Alan Shearer and getting sent off. You know, what did he do to Alf Ingle Haaland? Roy Keane's the best captain in Premier League history. He was petulant and he had a bad attitude because he wanted to win. Bruno Fernandez doesn't go on the pitch and start moaning because his pants are stuck up his arse or because he's got a boil on his knee. He does it because he wants to win. He's a winner and he's a moaner and he's a winner and he's petulant and he's got a bad attitude because he wants to win. I'd rather have someone like that who's moaning about every decision and trying to win free kicks all the time because he wants to win. It's that old adage, isn't it? He might be a bit of a shithouse, but he's our shithouse, and I want him to be our captain. Look, he inspires the team, he inspires the dressing room, and if you think he's got a bad attitude, well, that's part of the reason he inspires the team and he inspires the dressing room. It's just stupid. And the fact that people, you know, it's a little bit like saying, I don't want Lewis Hamilton to drive for Mercedes because he drives too fast. It's dangerous. I don't like how fast he drives. You do realise Formula One's about the quickest car winning. Yeah, he drives too fast for me. I'd rather have a slower driver. And it's the same with Bruno Fernandez. Or I don't know whether he should be captain because he's got a bad attitude. But I don't like the word bad attitude, but it's his personality that makes him such a good captain. It's his personality and moaning that drives him and drives the rest of the team. So I don't know why people talk about it and make an issue out of it. And actually, at the end of the day, the captaincy of Manchester United is for Manchester United fans and a Man United manager to decide. I couldn't give a toss who's Liverpool captain. I couldn't give a toss who's Chelsea captain. I couldn't give a toss who's Arsenal captain. I'll leave that to Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool fans to discuss because it's their club. Bruno's our captain. He's our player. And everyone needs to take the bloody nose out of it and stop talking nonsense. Let's try getting Hojlund for 50 to 55 million and maybe get someone older as a backup for 25 to 30, says Colin. Ignore that, Gary. This Gary said he is our captain. That's good enough, says Gary Lim. And it will be great getting Haaland and another striker. And the ideal option for that would to go and get Ivan Ferguson next summer, says Declan. And any news on Amrabat, we're going to talk about that. So, yeah, I do think that there is an opportunity for United to go and get another striker. If you've just tuned in a bit late, we're talking about Osimhen there potentially in a year's time with a release clause in his new contract of about £100 million. To be fair to TalkSport, Rory was defending him. It was our own shameless fans calling in saying he's too petulant to be our captain, says Nick P. Well, as I say, I can only comment on people who say that he has got a bad attitude and he's petulant. And, you know, I just think, just be wary. I've said this before. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, and my opinion is this. Varane, Casemiro, Bruno, watch out, because you will be the next De Gea. That's how this fan base works. That's how this media works. Not all of this fan base, but there are fans in our fan base and there are people in the media. 100%. Bruno, Casemiro, Varane, you're next on the list. And you know what list I'm talking about and you know why they're on the list. But I'm just going to say it. Let's see what happens over the next 12 months. Varane, Bruno, Casemiro, you're on the warning list from the media and certain sections of our fan base, because this always happens. And we know why, and we discuss it here quite a lot. Andy Weatherall's gifted a membership. He's always at it, Andy. He's a good lad. Maguire in midfield. Apparently Rory did stick up for Bruno. Well, he's safe next Friday in the TalkSport game then, isn't he? I won't be two-footing him. I just need names. Get me receipts. Goldbridge playing in a YouTube live TalkSport game at Millwall next week. I've asked for it to be at Millwall because it's going to get dirty. Maguire in midfield, good strength. I'll be absolutely shit, you know. I will be shit because I'm probably older than people like Jamie O'Hara and Gabby of Gong Lahore, and they're ex-footballers. So I'll try my best. If I can get near them, I'll put the boot in. Unpopular opinion, but if we have 20 million extra after getting Amrabat, we should target Taremi. He gets Paras. I don't rate Taremi. I think he's a bit of a myth. If Taremi's so good, why is no decent club in Europe after him? I don't think that. Julian says Beth will target them. Hey, leave Beth alone. She did a great job yesterday. I'm really enjoying the content. You know what? It was nice yesterday because I was just not able to do content and for my own reasons, and but I was watching the content and I actually really enjoyed it, looking at the live chat, listening to it. So yeah, very, very good. Please tackle Gabby. He might be on the same team as me. I can't do that. I don't know what the teams are yet. So anyway, let's move on. So that I've said that about the Bruno thing. Interestingly, this was on TalkSport yesterday. This was Sam Matterface, and he was saying that I don't know whether it was his source. I mean, obviously he's a commentator for ITV and does the England games, and obviously would have sources around probably the England squad. He was saying that Eric Ten Hag has told Harry Maguire. Now, I want your interest on this. Eric Ten Hag has told Harry Maguire that he's not for sale, that he wants him to stay and fight for his place. He just took the captaincy off him because he wants to be free to choose his own captain. And he's taken him out the leadership group within the dressing room, which contains Bruno, Varane, Casemiro, Luke Shaw, and Tom Heaton. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on this. I've sort of spoken about this a couple of times. I mean, do you look? Let's just do a poll on this. Not would you? Do you think Ten Hag has put Harry Maguire up for sale? So do you think Harry Maguire is for sale? So basically, this latest story is that Ten Hag wants him to stay. He just doesn't want him to be the captain. And he's took him out the leadership group. Now, Raj says he's a good bench player. I don't think that... I don't agree. I don't agree. I mean, I've worked in management. I've been managed. I've played football. You know, whether it's football or whatever. I just don't think it's like having a deputy, isn't it? You don't get rid of your captain. You don't publicly take the captaincy off somebody and then say I want you to stay. It doesn't make any sense. Of course, Harry Maguire might... I mean, look, I think the story around Maguire is always, I've got nothing to prove, I want to stay and fight for my place and stay at Man United, which I think is completely the wrong attitude to have because you're going to lose your England place. I mean, he's going to lose his England place. He's the starting centre-backs for United are Varane and Martinez, and if anything happens to them, Lindelof's next. That's Ten Hag's top 3 centre-backs. And maybe if anything happens to Martinez, Luke Shaw moves across. So he's 4th choice centre-back. You're going to lose your England place, mate. Fighting for your place is really difficult when you're not better than the 3 in front of you. So I don't really understand what United are doing here. You've had the captaincy took off you. If Ten Hag wants Harry Maguire to stay, don't take the captaincy off him. You're not picking him anyway. Bruno's the captain. It doesn't seem worthwhile making such a big statement about a player and then saying I don't want them to leave. I think what might have happened is that the club don't think they'll be able to sell him, or the player doesn't want to go, in which case you've got to sort of backtrack a little bit. So it might be that Ten Hag met with Maguire at the weekend and said, you're not my captain and you're not part of my plans. And then in the subsequent days, the club have said, we can't sell him, there's not good enough offers. Or Maguire said, I'm not leaving, I've got 2 years left on my contract. In which case, you've got to publicly then say, he's part of my plans. So it might be just that. But I don't know the answer to this, but reading between the lines, I think Ten Hag has told Maguire he doesn't want him. And I think either the club or the player have said, we can't sell him, or I'm not going. And therefore, Ten Hag knows he's going to get asked about it. And probably, I think there might even be a press conference today, so he may get asked about it today. And I think he is going to say publicly he's part of my plans. But as we know, these things have been said about De Gea and Ronaldo, and it wasn't true. I think the problem here is that either Maguire has said, I'm not going to leave, or the club have said, no one's offering the money we need to sell him. So we may well end up keeping him because we can't sell him. But I don't for 1 minute think that Ten Hag wants to keep a player on £200,000 a week as a 4th choice centre-back who's going to be 31 next season and doesn't suit the way he wants to play football. I don't think that for 1 minute. I just think maybe, not... Well, Man United, we can't sell everyone, can we? I think Maguire can work in mid with his skill sets, says Keel. Okay. Mark, any news on Amrabat? We're going to do that. But of course, talking about not being able to sell, you may have seen it last night or this morning. Apparently, the deal for Alex Telles to Saudi Arabia has fallen through. Now, many of us felt that wasn't a very good deal anyway, £4 million. But £4 million is better than no £1 million. Apparently, around Europe, they just wanted him on a free transfer. So United are now in a very difficult situation. There's talk of verbal arguments between Man United and Al Nazir of Saudi Arabia about the Telles deal. And apparently now they've pulled out altogether and are looking at other left-backs. So Telles will not be part of the Man United squad next season, but he might well be walking off with a payout because he still has got a year left on his contract. And if no one wants to buy him, then we are stuck with a player that we're going to have to pay off. So keep your eye on that one. Hopefully we can still do something, but yeah, it's not looking good, is it, in relation to sales again? Casper says, Onana going to bring out the worst of Maguire. Remember the pass against Sevilla? Onana does those all the time. And if Maguire doesn't force his way out to get regular playing time, it just reaffirms everything we thought about his character ambitions as well, says Joshua Bowater. Yeah, and funnily enough, do you think Harry Maguire is actually for sale? 82% of you are saying yes, and I agree. And Madbro says, unfortunately for Ten Hag, it's not a matter of if Maguire or anyone else is for sale, but if the club are able to sell and willing to buy a replacement. And I think that's a very good point. Reese, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you for joining and supporting the channel. Legend. But I think Madbro's correct. I mean, I think we've had Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, probably Solskjaer as well, to be fair, who've said these players are for sale and the club are unable to sell them. It's interesting if we'd actually got Kim Min-jae, then Harry Maguire would have had to go. And we did want Kim Min-jae. So I think this summer transfer window is massively interesting and intriguing in relation to the different routes we've had to go to. I mean, it's a little bit like, you know, straight down this road is your destination. And instead of going straight down the road, United have had to take a left, a right. You know, they're still going to end up at the destination, but how they do it's going to be really interesting. And I think as well, we did want Kim Min-jae. So if we'd got Kim Min-jae, Maguire would have to have gone. And I think that that's still part of Ten Hag's plan. But the club might be saying, well, we can't get rid of him and we're not going to get Disasi, so you may as well. I think with Maguire, it's quite interesting, and it's the same with McTominay and it's the same with Martial. Those three players, I think, are players that Ten Hag wants to move on. But as we've seen with Mourinho and other managers, I think the board will be saying, yeah, we're not replacing those. You'll have to just work with them, which is obviously the problem of this ownership anyway. Mandy says, you're not going on the tour at all now. You're really looking forward to it. Hope you're okay, Mark. Yeah, Mandy, you've sort of hit the brief there. Unfortunately, no. And I'm not very happy about it. John says, honestly, I don't see a way back for Harry. Just don't understand why he doesn't move for himself. But Man United struggling to sell any players is ridiculous, says John. Yeah, I mean, look, when it comes to sales, it is really on the player to do it. I'm sure many of you know this, but it is on the player. They've basically, you're up for grabs. You start looking for a move. Your agent starts ringing up clubs. That's how it works. If the player is not willing to do that, it does make it quite difficult. Hi, Mark. Sometimes something has me really excited about this season. We need that striker first and have a good day, says Luca. I'm glad that you're excited, Luca. Really am. Let me just talk about Onana, by the way, because I haven't reacted to the official thing. It was Beth last night. Mark is happy Man United finally signed an Irish player. Unfortunately, it's short term, says Mario Johnny Evans. Oh, I will just say on this, I really like Johnny Evans. We never should have got rid of him the first time, but if we're keeping him for another year, that's terrifying. On every single level, it's terrifying. I don't want to hear that Eric Ten Hag is impressed with Johnny Evans in training. Johnny Evans got relegated with Leicester last year and is well into his 30s. That is not a future move. And I like Johnny Evans. It's got nothing to do with him. It's just terrifying doing a deal like that. Buying a centre-back that's past it and has no future at this football club on a short-term one-year deal. That tells you everything you need to know about the Glazers and the future of this football club. Man City ain't doing a deal like that. Liverpool ain't doing a deal like that. Arsenal aren't doing a deal like that. Chelsea won't do a deal like that. Newcastle won't do a deal like that. So why are we doing a deal like that? It's just ridiculous. I get the romanticism of it. I like Johnny Evans, but no, that should not be happening. And I hope it doesn't happen because it's a concern if it does. But in relation to Onana, my reaction to that, look, I'm happy. I'm happy it's finally over. I think he's on a flight to New York now. There's talk about whether he'll play against Arsenal tomorrow. I don't expect him to play against Arsenal tomorrow, but I don't know what his fitness is. I don't know whether he's been training at all. I don't know what the situation was with Onana and Inter. The flight isn't huge to New York. I think it's about 8 hours. If he's landed now, which is about 5 o'clock in the morning, get a bit of sleep, go and have a bit of a training session. I don't know. I don't think he will be involved tomorrow. I think he'll be involved against Real Madrid, but you never know. We'll have to wait and see. Mo, welcome to the Members Club. But look, obviously, I'm very glad that he's, that deal's now done. I think it's so important to. I mean, people will say, well, it's a bit boring, but actually, I must take the positive and say I'm just glad that it's done because remember Varane and Sancho, those deals were sort of done, here we go for ages, and the gap between the medical and that was just huge. So I'm glad it's done because we need to get Onana on the training ground. Like, he's going to massively revolutionised the way that we play football from the back. So the sooner he's on the training ground, the better he's on the training ground, the better for Manchester United. And obviously, weirdly, in Murrayfield on Wednesday against Lyon, we saw Kovar play the whole game, and he was actually quite expansive in relation to passing out from the back. The goalkeepers that we've taken on tour, they're not going to be as good as that. So I think Onana is really important. I mean, I really don't. Does it not terrify you that Dean Henderson might play in goal tomorrow and start playing like Onana, and then, you know, what's the point? We've got Onana now. So I think we need to get this goalkeeping situation sorted out. Jason Stevens, thank you very much. Welcome to the Members Club. Mo's gifted 5 memberships as well. What a legend. In relation to Dean Henderson, apparently he is still part of talks with Nottingham Forest, but obviously United quite rightly have taken him on the tour because they're not happy with the price that's being offered. Mandy says, is it true that Elanga has rejected Everton? Not heard anything about that. And Evans is in for a senior position after a year, says FaZe. Yeah, well, you know what, United, I'm not going to go down this road. I went down this road with Darren Fletcher. I don't actually agree with it, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong, right or wrong. I don't actually agree with bringing players back who used to play for the club as coaches or anything else, you know. What are you going to do? Make Gary Neville director of football? I don't agree with it. I think ultimately this used to work for Liverpool in the boot room in the 80s and the 70s. You know, it was all about ex-players and everything like that. I think in the modern game, Pep Guardiola didn't play for Man City. Jurgen Klopp didn't play for Liverpool. That's not how it works. You go and get the very best, and that's the same as coaches. I want the best set piece coach in Europe. I want the best penalty coach in Europe. I want the best finishing coach in Europe. I want the best defensive coach in Europe. I don't want a player that I like who used to play for the club coming to Man United on an apprenticeship and becoming a coach. That doesn't mean you've got to be very lucky there to make that work. But United are quite locked into that. They like the jobs for the boys stuff. We know that. It was, evidenced by what they did with Solskjaer and Carrick, and we've done it with Fletcher. We've done it with a few people as well. And maybe that is the plan. And that's their plan. If they want to do that, that's up to them. And maybe Qatar will do that. Maybe Sir Jim will do that. But ultimately, I think you look at Newcastle and what they're doing. They've not brought Alan Shearer in as a trainer, have they? Or Gaza, or Chris Waddle, or Lee Clark, or any Rob Lee. They're bringing people in from Brighton and West Ham and coaches and recruitment. And that's what I think United need to do. You need to get the best of the best. James Cave has gifted a membership. Welcome to Jason Stevens as well, who's a member. Thank you very much for that. I was asked earlier about Amrabat. Carol J. Oh my God. Carol. I can't speak. Carol, on a Friday, has just gifted not 5, not 10, not 20, but 50 United Stand memberships. Carol, you are the legend of the week. Thank you very much to Carol. Make sure you say thank you to Carol if you got a membership. You can go and watch the Dublin show now. It's on the on the membership page. Well done, Carol. Legend. I was asked earlier about Amrabat and whether anything is happening with him. With Amrabat, it's obviously all about the situation with Fred. I think with Fred, you've got to look at it and go, how is it going to work in relation to he's not on the tour? Is he going to link up with the tour? Is he off the tour because of injury? Is he off the tour because of personal reasons? Or is he off the tour because of a deal that's going to see him leave the club? I think with Man United, the scenario they have with Amrabat is that they really, really want to get him. There may well be competition, so they've got to move quite quickly. What we're sort of hearing from Italian sources, and to be fair, these are good sources, is that United's Italian business will not be over with Hojlund. They will go for Amrabat. So that's Onana, Hojlund and Amrabat, all from Serie A. I just think United are going to have to sell to buy here. But I tell you what's really interesting, and I will remember this. I got clipped up about this. and that's not just an attack on me. That's an attack on the community. I got clipped up about this. United will spend £200 million. Well, we're getting bloody close to spending £200 million because when we bought Rasmus Hojlund, that's 150. So we will spend £200 million. I've already said that. Obviously, I think sales will make a dent into that at some point. Do you think PSG being interested in Hojlund is a concern? I'll come back to that, Subal. But in relation to Amrabat, I think people just want things to happen quickly, don't they? And lots of love for Carol in the chat. Carol the GOAT, says Sokol. There's a lot of impatience, of course. Let's get Hojlund done. Let's get Amrabat done. But now United are on the tour. We can get deals done while we're on the tour, but they're not going to join up with the tour. So it gives Man United that sort of 2-week, 10 days excuse. They've got to get... I'd be concerned if Fred gets on the plane to the US tour. You know, if Fred actually has got a personal reason why he can't link up yet, and then he goes and links up, that would concern me. But I have a feeling that Fred gets sold, and then that opens the door for us to go and get Amrabat, because Fiorentina are clearly getting itchy feet about Amrabat's itchy feet. So they want to plan for next season. Amrabat doesn't want to be there next season. So United need to get moving on that one. But I would always say about Amrabat, just be wary of other clubs. I don't know that Liverpool will go for him, but if they did, they're very quick and we're not ready. So that could be a problem. Going back to the question about Hojlund, which is similar, do you think there's any threat of another club coming in for him? Honestly, I don't know why that's shining off there. No. Honestly, I'm not worried about Rasmus Hojlund going to PSG or Bayern Munich or Arsenal or any other club that gets linked to him, because he wants to come to Man United. He wants to play with Erik ten Hag. He wants to play for Manchester United. He's a Manchester United fan. And this is the club that he wants to come and play for. And Atalanta have been made aware of that. This is the club he wants to go to. This is the club he wants to sign for. And maybe that's the same with Amrabat. I don't know. But certainly with Hojlund, this is not about... Sometimes you get it where a player... A lot of the times you'll get it where a player is wanted by a number of clubs. And... you know, they negotiate it and go to the club that offers them the best financial package and, you know, potential future to win things. We won the Mason Mount deal. Mason Mount was wanted by Liverpool, definitely, and Arsenal, and he chose Man United because of Ten Hag. Well, Hojlund's the same. His decision is Manchester United. So I don't really see PSG coming in and getting him. I mean, never say never, but I don't see it. Oh, nah, what's my name? It says DJ John. 51 months a member, and let's go for the next 51 months. Keep up the great work, says John. Thank you very much, John, for your support. Adam Parkin, thanks for becoming a member. And Josh Dude says for the chat, do a rain dance. I don't feel like doing any dance at the moment. Mohammed says, morning, Mark. He didn't say it like that. He says, morning, Mark. Happy about Onana and Mount. Is there any news on a centre-back and any midfielder, says Mohammed. Well, I just spoke to you there about Amrabat, of course, and I will, in relation to a centre-back, I suppose that fits in with Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire has to leave before Manchester United need to buy a player. So, yeah, I think that needs to happen before we can buy a centre-back. Disasi at Monaco is the centre-back that Ten Hag would go for. But I think it's difficult to do that deal because when do you do it? And does somebody else try and do it ahead of you? And I don't, you know what? In relation to Disasi, I don't know enough about him. I genuinely don't. I can tell you about Mason Mount. I can tell you about Rasmus Hojlund. I can tell you bits about Amrabat, and I can tell you about Onana. But Disasi from Monaco, I literally cannot sit here and say we need to be getting this player, and that's why I don't, because I don't know. I really don't know enough about him. What is he, 25? I don't know. I don't really know anything about him. I've seen bits, but he's one of those players that I haven't noticed, bad or good. So, you know. Josh Dude is a dude, and he's a legend. He's just gifted 20 memberships as well. Well done, Josh. Thank you very much for that. Let's just have a look if there's any other news coming in while we've been live, because this can happen and sometimes does happen. So let's just wait and see. There's a clip of Goldbridge talking about the Lewis Hamilton stuff. Okay, yeah, the Mail. This is what someone was talking about before. So the Mail are reporting that Anthony Elanga has rejected a move to Everton. Well, what are your thoughts on that? If that is true, what are your thoughts about that? A player can reject a deal to a certain club for many reasons. It might be because he doesn't want to play Dyche ball. I don't know. He might not like blue, but I don't know. I don't know that. I hope he's not rejecting it to stay at Manchester United, because really Elanga is not good enough for Man United. It would be a silly move on his part to stay at Manchester United, and I like Elanga. I think his career has been stunted by a lack of development, and he should have gone out on loan. But if he's got the bug that seems to be going round United at the moment, Scott McTominay, Anthony Martial, Harry Maguire, and if Elanga's going to join that group of I want to stay here and fight for my place, at some point somebody in that football club has got to tell them the choice is not yours. This is my football club. You're not part of my plans. You don't get to decide that you're going to fight for your place. If Pep Guardiola gets a knock on the door from Laporte saying, I want to stay and fight for my place, Pep Guardiola says, piss off. I've got 4 centre-backs better than you. I don't care how much you fight for your place. You're not part of my plans. That sort of conversation needs to happen at Man United. But for that to happen, you've got to have what Man City have got, the ability to sell. It's difficult for Ten Hag because he probably has said to these players, you're not part of my plans, go and find a move. But if those players say, no, or I want to stay and fight, what does Ten Hag do? He needs people who can back him up and find the moves. And that's a problem that we've had for many years. With Elanga, we don't know the full story. Maybe he hasn't rejected Everton. Maybe there's a better offer on the table. Maybe he wants to go to Forest. Maybe he wants to go abroad. Maybe he wants to go to Dortmund. Maybe he wants to go to Saudi Arabia. Maybe he wants to go to the MLS. I don't know. But I think that Nishank wants to heckle Stones at the Glazer residence. Okay, why would you shout at Stones? Plays for Man City. Why would you shout at Stones anyway? Even the ones on the ground. Heckling Stones outside the Glazers' house. Do you know what heckling is? It means you're going to shout at some rocks. 4 of the 6 Glazers officially signed. Full sale. Music to our ears. Thanks for another great show. Where did you get that from, Rival? I don't know. Recently watched the Duncan Edwards tribute video you made a while back. Great video and great to see how far the channel has come. I haven't watched that in ages, Dorian. Thanks for being a member for 12 months. And Cliff gifted a United Stand membership. I'm going to go and search that video out and have a look at it now. Yeah, so look, with Elanga, it might just be that he doesn't want to go to Everton, but he wants to go somewhere else. But I just really want to shift these players that decide they want to go and play elsewhere. Decide that they don't want to leave and they want to fight for their place. That's not how it works. I don't know whether you've ever been sacked, but if you get sacked by your boss and he says, look, you're not good enough, I'm sacking you, I want to get someone else in, you don't say, no, I'm not sacked, I'm going to work harder and stay here. That's not how it works. You don't get to give that decision. But it's interesting, I was reading an article yesterday about post Sir Alex Ferguson, and it was saying that when Sir Alex was here, he ran the club like a don. Like, he was in charge, everyone was scared of him, no one went behind his back, and he kept everybody on track. When he left, player power went through the roof. Players started going behind the manager, undermining the manager. And that is why it still exists at Manchester United, where players are like, I'm happy here. I've got nothing to prove. I don't want to leave. I'm going to stay and fight for my place, because over the last decade, the balance of power has been allowed to happen by people like Ed Woodward and Richard Arnold and everybody else on the board. They've allowed player power to run that football club and run that dressing room, and that's why we've never won anything. We need to get back to a point where the manager is in charge, and I think Ten Hag is that guy, but are the club backing him completely when he says get rid of this player, and they do it? Look at how ruthless Sir Alex was with some players over the years as well. And you speak to some ex-players. I remember when we had Paul Ince on a couple of years ago, and he was saying you would never go behind his back. Never. No matter what you thought, you would never go behind his back to the chairman or whatever because you'd be out of the football club. And, you know, Paul Ince, Roy Keane, Steve Bruce, Eric Cantona, very big personalities, they wouldn't do it. 100% they wouldn't do it. So, yeah, very interesting. Let me just get the door. 1 minute. I'm sure many of you would get the door for me, especially with the way I'm feeling today. But there will be, Juz says, I love this community. Yeah, and I'm sure many of you would have got the door for me. But unfortunately, I'm living in a house of selfish people. What was I going to say? Yeah, we will have a Friday night show tonight. Always look forward to the Friday show. And thank you, everybody. It's been a mood lifter for me today. As I said, yesterday was quite difficult. Couldn't do any content. But massive shout out to Beth for covering it. It was great. Really enjoyed it. And it's good to share the load, actually. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. A lot of people talking about guitar. I'm intrigued by this. I just want to have a quick look and see if we're missing something that may have broken while we've been on air. Not 100% sure that we have, but Anthony Alanga, Rafael Varane, spoken about Eric Ten Hag. Varane says we need players with big character and personality to win big trophies. You need that kind of character. Sometimes the difference between a good team and a great team is mentality. Yeah, he's basically saying we need to get rid of some of the shit, doesn't we? Interesting. The development on Alanga is this. Everton held direct talks with Alanga, but due to concerns about whether he'd thrive under Sean Dyche's style of play, the move no longer viable. Well, you can understand that. I don't have a problem with Alanga doing that. And it's nice to get... This is what I mean. It's difficult. You're always going to have an opinion on something, but more detail... It's like a clue, isn't it? If I said to you, I'm an ex-Man United player, tell me who I am. I was born in London. Now, you could start guessing all sorts of people. But on clue 2, you'll have more information. And I think you can say Alanga rejecting Everton is frustrating. But then when you hear why he's rejected it, because of the concerns about the play style, I've got to say, I don't have a massive problem with that, because there may well be other options out there for him. So... Look, we need to start selling some players. If you want Amrabat, Fred, Alanga, Henderson need to be moving on very quickly. And that's what that's my final word on that. Don't forget, tonight we're live at 8 o'clock. We'll have a 2 o'clock show for you as well. Big shout out to everyone today. You will never know how big it's helped me this morning. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. We've got a fantastic community. Obviously, we've got the content for you today. But don't forget tomorrow night, massively. Mad Bro, I'm not going to read your comments anymore because you just put the same one up in big capital letters, and I've already read 2 of yours, and I've just realised you've had 2 shout-outs today, and you're going to get removed if you keep doing it, because the mods will just get rid of it. So that's not how it works, and our mods are very good at that. So I'm just giving you a warning, but you've had 2 shout-outs already today. What was I going to say? Tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Saturday night, Man United Arsenal. I'm really looking forward to this pre-season game. Really looking forward to it. As pre-season games go, really looking forward to that. Don't forget Manscaped. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger, yes, but also get the hedge trimmer for your face. It's so fast. It's so powerful. It's amazing. It's the best one I've ever had. It's got so many different length settings on it as well. You will get this and go, Goldbridge was right. 20% off, free worldwide shipping. The code is United Stand. The link is in the video description. Scan the QR code next to me. And obviously, if you want to get something like this, a bit of our merch, we do ship that worldwide. United Stand Shopify, links in the chat as well. So thanks everyone for watching. Take care, you're legends, and I'll